Now, a multi-award-winning international actress, United Nations Messenger of Peace, and of course South African gem Charlize Theron is in the country this week. And apart from attending the annual Nelson Mandela lecture, which was delivered yesterday by former US President Barak Obama, Theron has also come to visit some of the organizations that she supports and that are funded by her Africa Outreach Project. And founded just over 10 years ago, the initiative aims to provide the youth of today with the tools and skills they need to protect themselves against HIV. Over 250,000 teenagers have to date received direct services by programs supported by the Charlize Theron Africa Outreach Project. And to talk to us more about this program, we are joined now via Skype by Charlize Theron. Charlize, good morning, and it's an absolute pleasure speaking to you.
Good morning. It's an honor to speak with you, and thank you for all those kind words you just said.
And every one of it is absolutely deserved. Now, Charlize, let's perhaps just start by talking about yesterday's lecture. You were in attendance, as you always are, but what was the takeaway for you?
Oh, it was a very emotional one for me. I think it was the inclusion that I felt from everybody on that stage. I felt that in the energy of the audience. I think we're all craving that kind of encouragement for inclusion, for understanding, for having empathy, and for not becoming cynical. I think towards the end of President Obama's speech, I felt like I was injected with a great energy serum that just made me wake up this morning and wanted to go and continue the fight. And it's amazing when leadership can do that.
And of course, you knew Madiba personally, and the two of you, your relationship is well documented. And now that we are celebrating his centenary, is there anything that you particularly are reflecting upon with regard to that relationship?
It's one that I always think of very, very fondly. I think about him a lot. I have two young children. They each have a piece or something that reminds them or starts a conversation about Madiba. I think he is just kind of embedded in our family, as he is in millions of other people's families. I think the piece of his messaging that just always sits with me was his ability to not placate or be condescending to youth, and to really see the power that they bring to a nation. And I think his encouragement to have every child be educated, to start there, and then to guide them through having the opportunities to be game changers within their communities and within their countries, that is very much in line with what we believe in at CTOP.
And we know Madiba's love for children, and evidently you two also bonded over that. But when you started your outreach program in 2007, what was the vision? And do you think it is coming to fruition as we speak 11 years on?
Well, it came from a long existing couple of years that I had started working in South Africa on several different campaigns, mostly based on violence against women in this country in the early 90s. And it just kind of grew from there. I became a citizen that wanted to know what was happening and what the facts were. And once I knew those statistics and those numbers were kind of embedded in my head, at that time we had a really severe issue with rape in this country, and with the rise of HIV and the virus at that time, it was just a deadly combination. And so I knew that I would always work in this field in some capacity. I just really wanted to make sure that I could use myself to my best ability and to not take up space or energy in the good work that people already do in this field. So I think the birth of CTOP was really the idea behind how do you support already existing incredible grassroots organizations that are working within communities that are the hardest hit when it comes to HIV and AIDS, and then work with those local people to really understand what the resources are that they need and what the obstacles are that they face. And I think over the 10 years of us doing this, we have come to realize that when you're dealing with the drivers of HIV, which is stigma, gender bias, inequality, poverty, all of those things are really what ultimately makes a community not function to its full potential. And so I think it became very clear to us from the beginning that we were not only trying to work in prevention, but we were trying to invest in young people in this country so that they could become healthy, productive leaders within their communities who then could maybe reach out to the world and represent South Africa in the way that it deserves.
Well, Charlize, you definitely chose a tough one, young people and HIV. And just from your interactions with the young people who have benefited from your program, what has the impact been, and has it changed their attitude towards HIV, towards their sexual conduct as young people?
Yes, I mean, the interesting thing is that it's very hard to codify all of this, right? Because we're working with a lot of adolescents who are not HIV positive. And so how do you really kind of statistically know what your reach is actually doing? The one thing I will say, though, now that we've done it for over a decade, is that we go back to the same communities, and we are today traveling to two of the organizations that we have been working with for the last 10 years. And what we find is a generation that's now grown up and, listen, whether it was through just having access to healthcare or having access to knowledge to how to protect themselves or how to keep themselves safe, or the encouragement to be leaders, and for the young girls in their community to think bigger and to put themselves in a place where they are valued within their community. If any one of those things come into play, I am incredibly, that's what drives me. It's like President Obama said yesterday, it is a gift to be able to give, and it's so reciprocated on both parties that this work for me is very much a part of me. And when I see the older generation now, and I see how excited they are to take that step into their future, and now we just have to provide them the opportunities. They're ready for it, and so it's up to us to really give them those opportunities where they can really shine.
Well, Charlize, thank you so much, and doing some incredible work, and I'm sure Madiba would be proud, and we appreciate you as South Africa for the wonderful work that you are doing. And we promised you lots and lots of crossings this morning, and the next one now on to Cape Town.